Welcome back to another Josh K guitar video. Josh here as always at your service. I'd like to start off once again by thanking all the new people who have clicked the subscribe button recently. If you haven't done that yet, please do so right now. And I just gotta say, I'm so excited to see you here. I get stoked when I see like one new subscriber, so to see like 20 of you guys in the last week is fantastic. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here, and let's get right to it. I'm continuing with the Mick Goodrick series. Here is the page that we're working on today, so you can go ahead and screenshot this right here. Yes, yes. Let's go ahead and blow that up real quick, and I'll do portions of the page. So here's the top, and then here's the bottom. Screenshot that as you need to. And we're going to go ahead and get right to it. A couple of things to notice. First of all, we're doing cycle 4s today. We've been doing cycle 2s all through this series, but we've run out of cycle 2 triads to do in the book. So we are now on our cycle 4s. This is just the very next page that Mick covers after cycle 2s. I would have to resurrect him and ask him why he did it in this order to really get that. But for me, when I was practicing this, I realized that when you were doing cycle 2s, you were moving every single note. And here, you're learning what the common notes are. So like, you can see from C to the F chord, C major to F major. C stays the same. So you have this common tone. So it helps you learn your voice leading. Then F to B diminished, right? You have this F in common. So as you follow through this, and this follows through on every line, the same way C stays a C, F stays an F, B stays a B, E stays an E, right? It stays with that pattern no matter which line we're on. But I think it's good to notice that in the beginning, this is what's different. That might make this easier. It might make it more difficult. I remember for me, it actually made everything a little easier. So that said, let's get right to it. I've got my chart like last time. That's why I'm playing my Strat. I typically practice these exercises. If you have access to instruments like this, it's great. I typically practice these on my Laudo because the scale is slightly smaller. So some of those big stretches that we do just are a little simpler. It's not that much of an issue on triads here, but on 7th chords you'll see it becomes an issue because you have to do big giant spreads to achieve those. So that said, I'm going to turn off the effects here. I have the Pigtronics distortion on, as well as some delay and reverb. So that's just my raw guitar tone. So, let's go ahead and play. We're gonna, again, I like to follow the direction of these arrows. So these are moving upwards. We were going down previously. So since we're moving up, I want to leave myself lots of space to move up. I'm gonna start down here. My very lowest possible fret for a C major triad. And you can see it's C, E, G. So this regular, kind of almost a open C cowboy chord, that achieves what we need. Now if you look here, again, I'm going to do these the same way, where you play the chord, then I'm going to play the notes that travel. So we're going to get that to F. I'll explain that in a second. So from C to F, C stays the same. E moves up to F, and G moves up to A. So that creates good voice lead, and it also creates a nice melodic. Now I'm going on, but you can see, right? You get really good melodic content just from following the chord tones in the order that Mick is laying out here. A lot of people, they go and they'll practice like just a 1-3-5 kind of a thing. And what happens is like our playing becomes very robotic when we just follow that pattern. And even when you start to move things around, like, oh, I'm going to do 1-7-3-5 or whatever. That's like a pattern that you're doing in your head. And what Mick has laid out here brilliantly in the book is fun melodic concepts that happen within each mode. So I like to really kind of just play around with what did he find? What are the notes? Treat that like it's its own little scale, mix things up and play within that. Right now I'm mixing in a little bit like a regular C chord. But you can always do that and mix in things that you know along with just whatever you're learning here. And that's the best way to learn and be musical. So I encourage that at all steps in this process. I'm not going to do that on every chord change here because there's a lot and I want to have time for the whole video. But I will be outlining them like that. So I'm going to play first the note movement, then the second chord. So I'm on F here. And you can see C is now going to move up to D. Now my middle note F is going to stay the same. And then A moves up to B. So now I've got my B diminished. And then you can see again, like, you can get cool little licks out of it. Doing all three now instead of just F and B diminished, but that's like a really great little piece of information that lives there, and you can just use that for grooving or playing chords or for playing something that sounds a little bit melodic and chordal at the same time. This is great. So highly recommend, again, screenshot this page here at the beginning of this video and practice along with this and take your time on each chord change, you know. That's it. Again, I'm gonna start moving here, but again, now we're B diminished and then we're gonna move up to E minor. So D moves to E, F moves to G, and then B stays the same. And again, that's like you can using some Phrygian information, E Phrygian. All right, so now we're moving to A minor. So that means E stays the same, G moves to A, B to C. This might be already common knowledge for some people. So, A minor to D minor. Again, the A is going to stay the same, but C is going to travel up to a D, two frets, and then E is going to move up to an F. So that's 1 fret. Then from D minor, we're moving to G. D on the top is going to stay the same, and then these two notes on the bottom are going to move both of them up a whole step. So F to G, and then A to B. And I like to combine that. We're on G. Just finished the first line. We're moving to the second. Okay? So now that we've traveled pretty far up the neck, I'm actually going to start the bottom line here. Same voicing. Root third, fifth. Root third, fifth. Just to give, again, I want room to move up high. So. You can see the G stays the same in this case. You get B, C, D, E. C, then moving that C up to F. So E goes to F, G goes to A. Just like before, except C now is in the middle, except for on the bottom. So you can see C is the bottom note, here it's the middle. This one's a very useful one. I remember reading this first and then I went, that sounds really Beatley. And then I went back and looked at I Got a Feeling. It's the same shapes, you know what I mean? It's just, this is C to F, that's A to D. And again, when you're doing these, you should be searching for like sounds that you like, maybe sounds that are familiar, that sound like they're from something else that you've been trying to learn. You know, any of that is really, really kind of fair game when you're practicing this. If you go back to my first video on this subject, it's like an hour long almost. And I really am just scratching the surface with how to practice it. So I'm going to try and do these in a little bit of a different way every time. So C, F. Then F on top is going to stay the same. And both those notes, C is going to move to D, and A is going to move up to B. They're both 2 frets away. So we're going 5 to 7 and 7 to 9. And this note, fret 6 on top, is staying the same. Great change. So much you can do with that. B diminished. And then now B on the bottom stays the same. And these two on top are both moving a whole step. So that's D moving up to E, and F moving up to G. Then E minor going to A minor, so that E in the middle stays the same. So again, that's another 2 frets on top. So G going to A, and on the bottom, B going to C. So that's a half step there. So I like to highlight the notes that move. Maybe use this middle note as a pivot. Okay, so we're A minor, moving to D minor. A on top is going to stay the same. And these other notes are going to move up the scale. So E moves to F, C moves to D. Right? So from D minor, we're moving to G. So the same thing is happening here. D stays the same. And F moves to G. A moves to B. So we have D E on the bottom stays the same. And then F moves to G, A moves to B. All right, we are here. D, G, B, end of the first line. I'm going to go ahead and do the same chord. I'm just going to move it up to the high strings. So I have room enough to travel here. So I'm starting with G going to C. Again, G in the middle stays the same. The notes around travel. So B goes to C. D goes to E. C in the middle G in the middle stays. Very cool melodic material around here. Now I'm moving to F. Once again, C stays the same, but we're on top. So E to F, G to A. Now once again, F stays the same. A moves to B, C moves to D. But definitely very fun stuff to play with. Then we are B diminished, moving to E minor. So F moves up to G, D moves up to E, and B in the middle stays the same. Now we're on E minor. G, B, E, moving to A. So E on top stays the same. B to C, G to A. A minor is moving to D minor, so A in the bottom stays. C to D, E to F. Then D minor to G, so A up to B and F up to G. And then this resolves back to our root inversion, C, E, G. So B up to C, D to E, and G on top stays the same. All right, so that completes the Cycle 4 closed triads. That's the top portion here. Let's go ahead and go through these spreads. All of the same notes are going to stay the same. The difference is which voice is on top, which notes are on the middle, which notes in the bottom. We are literally taking the middle note out of every one of these positions and just scooching it up an octave. That's what's spreading out our voicing. So let's start that here. Instead of C, E, G, we get C up to G and then up to a higher E. So that's going to be on the guitar. Looks like this. Now as we move through these, what may be the natural action that you see is this. But to reach this chord, for most people, is really difficult. It's worth looking into. But you can see even I'm stretching to get to that. So what I find more beneficial is to see if you can find the string cross that happens, right? So here. And that way you go. And then you still get smooth voice leading. You just have to practice making it smooth between strings so that things don't sound too different. Right? Then C up to D, A up to B, and then F. That's ridiculous. So, again, what I do is that, right? So, I'm following the movement. Right? But I'm adjusting to something that fits my hands. I have small hands. Some of these are pretty tough. I'm
not Danny from Marvin.
So we got our B diminished. D, B, F. From here, right? B stays the same. D moves to E. F moves to G. So again, that's reachable. This is easier. Yeah? So now we're E minor, going to A minor. And again, that's reachable. That's easier. You might have to figure out a way to finger that so that you can strum through it, or finger pick it, or hybrid pick it, whatever makes you feel comfortable is totally okay in these. In fact, if you're practicing and you're not comfortable, I would put down the guitar, take a little break, and come back when you feel okay, because some of this stuff can really, really stretch out your tendons. So best to let them stretch and recuperate. So we're A minor, right? And then A minor is moving to D minor. So C's up to D, E's up to F. That's reachable here. I often like this one, though. It's also a small stretch. This one I find a little easier for muting. So I like that one a lot. So now we're D minor, moving to G. So A needs to move up to B, D stays the same, and F moves to G. So that's, again, doable, easier. Yeah? And then, again, now we're crossing from G, D, B onto the next line. G, C, E. Sorry, G, E, C. Again, reachable, easier. So now, again, we're going to move everything upward still. G goes to A, E goes to F, C stays. Very reachable. Not the easiest way to do it, though, so I like this. Why not, right? So F, and now we're moving to a B diminished. So this F here, that's going to stay the same, but these other two notes are going to move up. And again, that's reachable. This might be easier. So when I play my chord, like when I'm practicing, I'll do that, and then I'll move it to an easier way, and clean up the fingering a little bit as you're moving, and then you can move to the next position from there. It becomes a lot smoother as you practice it and as you play it, and sometimes you do find yourself reaching because that's the best thing for the situation. But it's about kind of spotting where all of these little territories live and then putting them to use when you go to play. So here's my B diminished. I'm moving to E minor. I like that one a lot with two fingers here and stretching down there because there's less muting you have to do. But I also like this one a lot. I also like this one a lot. A little bit of a stretch, but it's comfortable when you're up on the higher frets. Then we're moving. E on top stays. G to A and B to C. Really beautiful. And now we're on D minor, so A in the middle is going to stay the same. C is going to go to D. E is to F. So D is going to move now to G. And this is very doable to just take these two and move them up 2 frets. Hold the bottom note. So A goes to B, F goes to G. And now we can resolve that back home. To the 3rd line where we have E, C, G. Now at this point we're starting to really move up high on the neck. I'm just gonna move that shape down 12 frets so I have lots of room. And let's complete this page. So we have C major going to F major. So C stays the same. I might move this C over here to make it easier to play. So we have C, and then moving to F. We can do that, but this is easier. Closer together, right? Then again, we're going to have D going to E and A going to B. And holding that, again, doable. It's achievable. I have small hands and I'm playing it. But this is easier. Or whatever is easiest for you. I like 3 fingers because then you can mute all the strings nice and easy. See some extra dots on the fretboard, so I'm trying not to do that to you guys. There's my B diminished. And from here I'm moving to E minor. So F moves to G and D moves to E. B on top stays the same. So we have... Now again, this is pretty doable, but easier to play there. E minor is moving to A minor, so that means E in the middle is going to stay the same. G is going to A, B is going to C. And again, that's very, very, I can play that, but that or that are both easier. I'm going to go here again so I still have lots of room. Then we're moving this chord to a D minor. This is that same shape from before. Pesky 3-fret stretch. I'm just going to go ahead and do this 3-note fingering here. And then we're moving up again. We have G from here. So D on top is going to stay the same. F is going to G, A is going to B. And again, doable, but easier. From there, we're resolving right back to the top of the spread voicing, which I like here. So hopefully this was a helpful lesson for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and just pull up the page for itself so you can go ahead and screenshot that. And there's a little higher. So you can see the MSRP. The MSRP is just an interesting melodic thing that happens as you play these chords. So if I were to just like loop these. F, B diminished, E minor, A minor, D minor, G, C, right? So if I do that, then I find that you have this fun thing that happens. So C on top, right? And then D on top, E on top, right? And then E on top again. D gets F on top. G. Right? And then stain. A. All right, and then B. Right? And then C on top. D on. And then you have an option that can stay C actually, but I'm going to follow the bottom line here. Then G, C with E on top, F, right? Right? And then I'm going to spread that voicing out. Let's do this. Right? F on top, and then G on top, A on top, A on top with the D minor chord, B, and repeating back to C. So there's this really kind of interesting, it's really just a scale, but the interesting part is like, where does the note land? Which chord is it following with? Because it's not always what we would expect. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and play my way out. Please do like and subscribe to this channel so that you get all the latest videos. I am going to continue doing one of these, at least one of these a week. So again, stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see you in the next video.